Oh, come on. Don't make it weird.
No, make it weird.
Oh, you want me to make it weird?
Yeah, like really weird.
Okay. I think I could get behind that. I'm Harmony.
And I'm Haley.
And this is
Make It Weird. Hello.
And welcome
To Make It Weird.
the full, large, macro episode.
The weirdest-ode.
The weirdest-ode. Oh, I like that.
Thank
That's
you.
very nice. You know what we haven't said in a while?
Weird
Wednesday. Weird Energy Wednesday.
Weird Energy Wednesday.
Woo.
Woo. Remember how we got a message from somebody today who was giving us podcast advice, and they were like, nobody's ever as funny as they think, and also don't hold on to bits that have lived past their lifespan. I think that and my constant referencing of WWE, which will come again this episode. Maybe
Oh boy.
maybe two things that need to die.
You know what? We are going to beat these fucking dead horse bits that we do over and over until there's nothing left.
And the dead horses with their bits.
Exactly. And the horses have the bits in their mouth, and we're going to beat the horses with the bits in their mouth with the bits.
Yes.
Over and over and over.
100%.
Woo!
Woo!
Wednesday Energy Weird. Nope.
Weird Energy
Wednesday.
Anyway.
So we do have a couple of corrections corners and a couple of updates from the last episode that we had. So the first update is Haley watched Footloose.
I did. And Pretty Woman. And 16 Candles.
And 16 Candles. Oh my god, we did watch 3 different ones.
We really
that
did.
You had not seen before.
Mostly on different days.
Oh yeah, that's right. I was like, we didn't watch 3 movies in one night. That would be impossible. No. I'm surprised we watched 2.
Same. Absolutely same.
All right, so what did you think of Footloose?
Footloose was better than I expected it to be. I had put off watching Footloose because I was an angsty teenager who didn't want to engage in mainstream media. And also because, I told Harmony about this, my freshman year of high school, for whatever godforsaken reason, I decided that I want to do a beauty pageant. So I joined my high school beauty pageant, and it was Footloose themed. And so I heard the song. We had to learn a dance to Footloose.
For some reason, I don't have memory of you telling me this.
I literally, when we were watching the movie, I told you this.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
It's okay. It's totally fine. It was Footloose themed, and we had to all learn a dance to Footloose. And I was so mad. And then, like, a few months later, the remake came out, and I refused to see it because I was like, I fucking heard the song too many times. We're done.
Well, the remake was not that great, so just stick with the original anyways.
Yeah.
I'm glad you liked it, though. I do think when I saw it, the first time I saw it, it was better than I was anticipating as well, because I saw it, like, when I in my 20s or something.
My only complaint is that the main character, that's Kevin Bacon.
Yes.
All the girls that are like, oh, he's a smoke show. He's okay.
He's Kevin Bacon. He has an
okay.
interesting look. Like, yeah, it's very unique, but it's not like pick him out of a crowd, hottest guy in the world.
Yeah, I guess if you've lived in Hodunk, down under Mississippi, country backwater town,
from,
and you got like a new guy that he probably is the bee's knees.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Like,
my favorite part is that, like, she doesn't think he's cool until he wins the tractor competition, and then she's like, I want that guy in my pants immediately.
That guy just outballs my boyfriend. Therefore, he inballs me.
I'm gonna gargle the balls.
Gargle my balls.
What did you think of Pretty Woman?
Pretty Woman was cute.
Right?
My boyfriend also watched that with us, and he was invested.
It's a great movie.
It was really good.
It's so good.
Yeah, that one I was really impressed by, too.
And then what about 16 Candles?
16 Candles, I think we watched it and we talked about it a little bit afterwards. I am convinced that I actually saw bits of it on Disney Channel at one point.
You might have, yeah.
But like, that's such a weird movie for Disney Channel to play.
Oh, absolutely.
Because there's boobies and they say the word fuck.
Yeah, they definitely would have cut a bunch of stuff out. I have seen it on TV before, back when cable existed, and they definitely cut all of that out.
I just can't imagine Disney playing a movie that has a whole storyline about paying to see someone's panties. Come on, Disney.
Doesn't seem like it. Well, they are racist sons of bitches. I guess can't put anything past them.
Yeah, you know.
All right, so that's our update. And then we have a correction. So I did my story on the dancing plague of 1518, and I made a joke about Gloria Estefan's song, The Rhythm Is Gonna Get You. That is not the song that goes, Mama say, Mama sa, Mama so sa. Mama say, Mama sa, Mama so sa. anyone with half of a tiny small brain would have known that, but for whatever reason, okay, to be fair though, if you listen to that song by Michael Jackson's wanna be starting something,
I had never heard that song before.
it's not one of his most famous ones, but if you listen to it with The Rhythm Is Gonna Get You, the rhythm on both of them is not that far apart. So for whatever reason, my brain put those two songs together, and they are not the same thing. Also, Rihanna used that.
Yes, she did.
Yeah, she mixed that in.
Please don't stop the music. And then I have a not so fun update, or correction, I should say.
Yeah.
So in my last full, I talked about the murder or suicide of Sidney James. Early on in that story, she was assaulted by two individuals who had entered her home, and they had specified that she was assaulted with a knife. They didn't specify what end of the knife she was assaulted with. I was informed after the fact that it wasn't the blade end of the knife.
Okay.
It was the handle side. So when we made a comment about like there weren't injuries consistent with that, we were talking about like the idea of somebody using the blade end of a knife.
You definitely would have been cut up.
Yeah, so I could see how maybe injuries from like the handle side might be more consistent with like, for lack of better words, a more standard assault of a woman.
Right.
So yeah,
it may not leave anything depending on what the knife looked like and what knife the handle was made out of. Like there may not be any traces of it.
Right, exactly. So that was entirely my fault. I did not do my due diligence with research. My apologies for not finding an obscure police report from 1980 something.
There are so many different articles, police reports on that whole case, so I don't blame you one bit. I know how extensive you are with your research.
Yeah, unfortunately, me too. Anyway, so how do you feel about going first or second this week?
How are you
feeling there? But
how do you feel about going first this week?
You want me to go first?
I went first last week, so I think you should go.
Sure, I can
christen the episode.
I will christen the episode. We're gonna have it right out of that episode womb and smack it on its bottom.
Oh, thank God!
And it's gonna go just like Baby Mario in Yoshi's Island.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of video games, have you ever heard of the phrase "going postal"?
I don't think so.
Like ever? Never? Really?
I don't think so. No.
Wow. Okay. So the phrase "going postal" is something that came around in the year 1993, but what it was referencing, which is the concept of going berserk in an uncontrollable rage, typically due to workplace environments, was over 2 decades in the making. Between the years of 1970 and 1997, more than 40 people were murdered by current or former USPS employees in over 20 incidents of workplace violence.
Whoa, what?
Yeah. Yeah.
So literally going postal, they're saying like you're losing your shit because these people in the post office industry killed people?
Yes.
What the fuck? How have I never heard this before?
I don't know. And especially knowing like the kind of like 90s media that you engage with too, I'm amazed. Well, I think once you understand that what it's referencing, you'll see it in a lot of different things.
Interesting.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later.
I was born in 1992, so maybe I started the trend, to be fair.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was the St. Petersburg Times in December of 1993. Quote, "The symposium was sponsored by the U.S. Postal Service, which has seen so many outbursts that in some circles, excessive stress is now known as going postal. The USPS does not approve of this term and has made attempts to stop people from using the saying. Some postal workers, however, feel it has earned its place."
I would assume if you have been influenced in any way by said acts, then yeah.
Yeah. So the first big shooting of its kind, this is one of the biggest events that people point to when we talk about going postal, took place in Edmond, Oklahoma in August of 1986.
Okay.
So there was a man named Patrick Sherrill. He was the one who was the perpetrator of this crime. And he was a down and out loser with no friends and an inability to maintain employment.
Okay.
He eventually joined the Marines, where he excelled in marksmanship in 1963, and he left the Marines like 3 years later and joined the Oklahoma National Guard, where he became a small arms expert and taught marksmanship to others.
That's really interesting to move between two different branches of the military.
Yeah,
That's very interesting.
I had read in some places that he was removed from the Marines, and then I had read in some places that he left. So maybe he wasn't allowed to re-enlist. I don't know. I didn't really...
But the Coast Guard will take him.
Well, it's the National Guard.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah. So it's just kind of like summer camp.
Yeah. Boy Scouts.
For men. Men Scouts. Man Scouts.
Man Scouts.
That's what I've been saying for years. We need more Man Scouts.
So that's what we need.
He also, like I said, could not keep jobs. And part of why he couldn't keep any fucking jobs, by the way, is because he was a fucking creep. Multiple women at multiple workplaces reported him being indecent, rubbing against them or touching them inappropriately, or saying nasty, gross things. One woman that was a coworker of his said she felt like she was naked the way he looked at her.
Ew. All right, so I don't feel that bad anymore about how harsh you were.
Yeah, you shouldn't.
Describe
because,
him.
like, imagine being fired for workplace harassment in the fucking 70s and 80s.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
Yeah, like, the bar was in hell.
I was gonna say, the bar's in hell.
Anyway, during his year and a half working at the post office, Patrick was disciplined multiple times for not meeting standards. He had received so many notices for his poor performance that he was actually worried about losing his job. He, at one point, even requested a transfer to a different USPS office, which obviously was not followed through with.
Good.
Ironically, after the event that happened in 1983, which we'll talk about in a second, Bob Bearden, a local USPS union rep, was quoted saying, "A few of us..." Sorry, I shouldn't laugh. It's just the timing on this kind of thing. "A few of us were talking about it a few weeks ago, and somebody said that one of these days someone is going to go off the nut and shoot somebody."
Oh, fuck. Go off the nut.
Right? What does that mean? Off your rocker? I get it. Lose your mind? I get it.
Off the nut.
Off the nut?
Going right off that nut.
And on a fateful morning of August 20th in 1986, Patrick Sherrill came into work with the intent to do just that. At about 6:45 in the morning, Patrick entered the building and locked the doors behind him. He produced 3 pistols from his mail pouch and, without a word, began shooting his fellow employees.
Oh my god.
First things first, that's too fucking early in the morning. Can I please have a cup of coffee?
Oh my god, Haley.
I'm just like, if you're going to shoot up a workplace right when we just clock in, man, I'm already having a bad time. I don't want to die mad.
Oh, the thought. I'm sorry. Again, we're not laughing at people dying, but the thought of dying at a place like when you work blue collar and it's like kind of a shitty job and it's like that's where you meet your end.
Well, I think I talked to you about it. We had somebody at work last year pass away at work
in the bathroom.
Yes.
That's
and it's
horrible.
Just like, and I mean, like surface level, you hear about it and you're like, okay, that's a little funny. Not that somebody passed away, but just like that circumstance of like, you pulled an Elvis there, man. But then you sit there and you're like, holy shit, dude.
That's where your life ended.
Work.
That's where your life, It's very eye-opening realizing that truly, and I mean, I'm not saying this as a fact, this is just my opinion, but that truly, like, I don't know, I don't think there's any, like, I think everything can be a circumstance. Like, there's no fate or whatever. It's not like you're destined to die in a certain place because you deserve it or whatever. And it's like, for all we know, he was a really cool, nice guy, family guy, whatever.
He was. He kicked ass. I liked the guy a lot.
Yeah, so. Yeah.
No, any not to make you anxious. Not to make you anxious. Anywhere, anytime, though, you know? Anywhere, anytime.
Right here, right now.
I'm not falling to the ground again. We did a last episode. I had a hard time getting up, all right? No, it's just, it's these kind of situations are just so fucking hard to fathom.
Yeah.
You have to laugh. That's the only way that,
I agree.
It's the only way you can really cope sometimes.
Yeah, because if you start thinking about how you could literally die at any moment, anytime, anywhere, then you start getting into a really dark place.
Yeah. And next thing you know, never mind.
The toilet.
I was thinking about, you know, the people that like die of autoerotic asphyxiation.
Oh my god, yes.
My grandma had a friend who was an EMT.
I thought you were telling me your grandma died that way. Oh my fucking God.
I'm questioning if this is her story or if it's a story from a story from a story, you know?
Whatever.
I was allegedly too young to understand what was being said to me, but I understood it all. Somebody died with a vibrator up their butt,
Woo!
and it just kept going.
Woo!
Could you imagine? Mommy, why is Uncle Greg making that sound?
Oh
Someone's trying to call him.
Because, like, what do? Take it out? Like, oh my God.
Let the battery die.
Ah!
They'll get it out when they embalm him. I don't know.
Back to your story.
There was also a story about somebody, quote unquote, slipping and falling onto a red delicious apple.
They did didn't have to say red delicious. They could have said apple. They knew what they were doing.
Oh my god.
Oh
Anyway,
my God.
back to this workplace shooting.
Thank you.
This began at 6:45 a.m. and it took the SWAT team until 11:30 a.m. to enter the building.
That's far too long.
Right.
What do you mean?
At which point they found 14 people dead on the
Oh
ground.
my God.
With 9 others wounded.
Ugh.
Isn't that, like, what the fuck?
So that's what, 5 hours almost? It's almost 5 hours.
From 6:45 until 8:30 a.m.
You said 11:30.
8:30.
You definitely said 11:30.
We'll have to listen it back. If I said 11, I don't know where that came from.
What do we win? Whoever gets it right.
I was going to say to not get shot at your workplace, but
Oh my fucking God.
you work from home and I work in a very secure area.
Anyways.
You want a handshake.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Police had spent that time trying to reach out to Patrick via the phones in the office and with a bullhorn, but he didn't respond. And once police were inside, they would see why he didn't respond. Amongst the 14 victims they found lay Patrick Sherrill, who had gone to the back of the building and taken his own fucking life like a stupid coward.
Mm-hmm. Of course he did. Not surprised.
Backtracking a little bit.
Hell.
Backtracking some.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry to go kind of back in time, but do you want to take a guess as to what famous serial killer was a USPS employee at the time of their arrest?
Ooh. I don't know.
Do you want a hint?
Yes.
New York, 1976.
New York City?
Yes.
I don't know. I don't know my names very well.
Do you want another hint?
Yeah.
Too fucking bad. It was David Berkowitz, son of Sam.
Oh, okay.
He was a letter carrier.
I do remember Son of Sam. That's right.
Not a
Okay.
letter carrier. A letter, like, organizer. Letter sorter.
Yeah.
Mail sorter.
Like...
Like somebody who sorts the mail,
Literally,
yeah.
like my brain goes to that part in The Grinch when her dad is working at the post office.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I thought you might like that fun little factoid.
Thank you.
But oddly enough, that shooting was not really an isolated incident. USPS shootings were, to the 80s and 90s, what school shootings are for us now, I guess you could say.
Oh, fucking hell.
I don't know why I wrote that line. I hate that I said that. I hate that it's a thing at all, but...
I hate it too. Unfortunately, it's a fact.
Yeah, it's an awful thing, but whatever could we possibly do to prevent that from happening again?
I don't know. I don't think there's any options.
No, there's no legislation or access to mental health services that could ever fix or prevent this from happening again. It's simply a fact of life.
Yeah, it's just like sometimes these things happen.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
And like, how could we ever figure out what was causing these USPS incidents to occur? I mean, it's like simply impossible, which is why in 1998, U.S. Congress noted that while USPS workers accounted for less than 1% of the full-time labor force, over 13% of workplace homicides were committed at USPS facilities.
That's wild.
Right?
What the fuck?
USPS did take note of this, though, because it's fucking hard to not take note when y'all's employees are off the chain, but not in a sick, nasty way. And in 1992, they signed a joint statement on violence to speak out against workplace violence and to push all employees of USPS to work together to prevent violent outbursts from occurring at work.
That's what we need to do. Work together. That's how you stop someone from bringing a gun to work. Are you fucking kidding me?
Right.
More teamwork. Be team players.
So this joint statement actually came out as an almost direct response to another shooting that took place in Royal Oak, Michigan, where an employee opened fire and killed 4 of his coworkers. He was also a former Marine, like Patrick Sherrill. This guy, Thomas Paul McIlvaine. Thomas Paul McIlvaine. I don't care if I got it wrong because he's dead and he doesn't matter.
Great.
He was discharged from the Marine Corps after getting into a disagreement with some officers and, driving over a car with a tank.
I think he needs to have more done to him than just be removed from the military. What are we doing?
Well, he got fired from USPS.
Oh, thank God.
And he demanded his position be reinstated at USPS. And he said that he would make the Edmond post office shooting look like Disneyland.
Oh my God.
Compared to what he would do. He went on to kill
Lock
4.
him up.
Right. He went on to kill 4 employees. He wounded 4 others. And then he also took the bitch boy coward's way out and killed himself.
Of course.
But back to that joint statement on workplace violence that absolutely, definitely, completely solved the issue. No doubts about it. A key point, as much as I keep making fun of this dang on document, was that supervisors and managers had to understand the impact and pressure they were putting on their employees. It's like there was a lot.
That's horrifying. I can't imagine like my spouse or something going to work and this kind of thing is going on. Like,
yeah. Right? One of the dumbest sentences that I saw in this thing, because I got my grubby little hands on it. I quoted this at work today. We were just laughing about it because it's kind of ridiculous. Where NALC has presented strong evidence of violent, abusive, harassing, or threatening behavior, regional arbitrators have been able to order supervisors to apologize.
Oh, that's all we really needed in the first place.
It later goes on to say that they held supervisors responsible who were harassing and abusive and removed them from their positions because they were incredibly shitty people.
Oh my God. Imagine someone harasses you and they come up and they just say like, I'm sorry.
Right?
I'm not buying that shit.
Same.
Don't talk to me. And
they were also, USPS was like, we're going to raise the salary of our managers and supervisors to hopefully attract better managers and supervisors.
That's not how that works.
Right? I agree. So I tried to do a lot of digging into what specifically was found to be the cause of this workplace violence in the USPS, but I couldn't find anything that was super definite. The general notes were that the work was grueling, standards were incredibly high. The post office is expected to deliver mail all weekdays, rain or shine, sun or fucking snow, seemingly with little regard to safety in adverse weather. That constant pressure to work the route, finish on time, and pick up any slack that your coworkers may be leaving around was high. Multiple union reports demonstrated hostile managers, with many threatening violence or job status to underlings. Customers were notoriously nude. Customers were notoriously rude too, with multiple reported incidents of violence against postal workers by customers who wanted their package right now, goddammit.
God, I fucking hate people.
Right.
They don't have any control over that.
I know.
They deliver it on the truck.
But this idea of going postal became like a huge cultural touchstone in the 90s, which is why I'm so surprised that you hadn't heard that phrase before.
There's a good chance that I have, and I just don't remember. It doesn't sound familiar for whatever reason, though.
That's okay. But like also the 90s, like this came out in 93. This phrase really became popular then. And this is really the beginning of the Attitude Era. That's my WWE throwout right there. So crass humor and being edgy is on the rise. Like there is nothing funnier than people shooting up their workplaces, I guess.
Literally.
And what better way to joke than about the numerous people literally getting killed by workplace violence? Like, it's the funniest thing in the world. And even The Simpsons did it!
Oh, yeah.
Early in some of the comics, there's a scene where Moe's Tavern is attacked by a mailman who's fed up with jokes about crazy mailmen, and he's seeking revenge. And then, this is like one of the darkest references I've ever seen from a Simpsons thing. They reference it in another episode where Ned Flanders is asleep, and he has a dream where he's a mass shooter in a clock tower, like Charles Whitman, who was a 25-year-old Marine who opened fire at the University of Texas. This scene is going on, and he starts literally like, there's Homer, pew! There's Homer too, pew! And then a USPS worker pulls a machine gun out of his bag and fires back at Ned.
Oh my God.
Right?
Dude.
Jumanji references it.
Does it?
Yes. There's a character, Van Pelt. He goes to a gun shop and the salesman says, "You're not a postal worker, are you?"
Oh my God. That's so funny.
Seinfeld references it.
I'm not surprised by that.
And I love this quote too. It cracks me up. One of the characters is asked why postal workers go postal, and he responds, "Because the mail never stops. It just keeps coming and coming and coming. It's relentless. Every day it piles up more and more and more, and you gotta get it out." And then there's also an episode...
Do you know which character said that?
Newman.
Oh, yep, okay.
There's also an episode later where that same postal worker character has to take over David Berkowitz, the son of Sam's old postal route.
Oh my God.
And then finally, the thing that inspired this whole episode, one of the biggest references to this phrase, going postal, and if you are familiar with this, you'll probably know this is what I was getting to, is a video game. In 1997, a game entitled Postal was released by Running with Scissors. In this game, you play as a postal worker who goes on a murderous rampage through the town of Paradise, Arizona, who believes they are the only one unaffected by a hate plague that was released by the local Air Force Base.
Oh my God.
Yes.
How have I not heard of that? Holy
Dude,
shit.
It's banned in 14 countries.
I mean, it should be. That's awful.
No, it's great.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not saying the whole like games lead to violence kind of thing. That's just like, I don't know. That concept is awful.
Well, I mean, like that's the whole point.
Yeah, I guess so.
The whole thing is kind of a satire, and the fourth game is called Postal 4 No Regrets.
That's incredible.
It's like cringy 90s attitude era satire.
Yeah.
You're running around, you're shooting everybody, you're pissing on corpses. At one point, you can use a cat as a silencer on a gun.
That's too much for me. That's a little too crude for me. Oh my god.
Yeah, like you're talking to aliens.
But that checks out with the time of like the early 2000s of like kids and like the boys in middle school.
Yeah.
They would have eaten that shit up.
Yes, and you are committing numerous atrocities against humanity, and so many atrocities, in fact, that, like I mentioned earlier, the game was banned in 14 countries. Mm-hmm. And it caused USPS to reach out to the game developers.
Oh, shit.
A letter was received stating that the game was, quote, in very poor taste, and the stereotype does a grave disservice to the more than 750,000 men and workers who work hard every day to deliver excellence to their fellow citizens.
Oh, they tried.
And the letter was ignored.
Of course it was.
Which led to a lawsuit from USPS against the development company.
Oh, shit.
It was dismissed in 2003.
Uh-huh.
Postal was also one of those games that led to the ESRB rating system.
Oh, yep. Okay.
Yeah, and in Postal 2, they even labeled a difficulty after the U.S. Senator Joe Lieberman, who played a role in the creation of the ESRB system.
That's really funny.
So one of the big things about the first game that led to the formation of this rating system was the incredibly unpopular elementary school level, which acted as the conclusion to the first game.
Okay. I do remember this. This was a big deal.
Yeah. You load in and your character begins opening fire on elementary school children who are all unaffected by the ammunition. That's the main character has like a mental breakdown, and then the game cuts to like the final scene where he's like locked up in a penitentiary, and they're like, we don't know what made him snap one day, and it's kind of like he was insane the whole time. It was all in his head.
It just kind of feels like, what's the point of even making that?
Yeah. But for obvious reasons, the media felt similarly, and they trashed this level. And they were like, this is disgusting, X, Y, and Z, like it shouldn't be done. The unfortunate thing, too, is that this game released, and I think 2 or 3 months later, the Columbine shooting happened.
Fuck. And of course, all of the parents at that time that are like, video games lead to violence, they're shitting themselves because they're like, this is what caused it.
Just like the fucking parents in the 70s with D&D leading to cult members.
Yep, exactly.
Later on in 2016, during the development for the remaster, the vice president of Running with Scissors said the following: "The final level in the original Postal was very misrepresented in the media, who often said it was possible to kill children, but this was never the case, as the entire thing was a cinematic dream sequence where the protagonist attempted to shoot up a school, but failed as his bullets and rockets had no effects on the NPCs. It was supposed to depict something that, at the time, would have been completely unthinkable and out of touch with reality. The elementary school level was removed from the remaster." Other comments from the development team regarding this change also indicated that, unfortunately, things like school shootings had also basically lost their shock factor because they had been happening so often in the US. Mm-hmm. They didn't really add anything shocking to this shock factor game. Mm-hmm. Nowadays, Running with Scissors addresses violence concerns on its website. Quote, "Our games feature wonderfully excessive amounts of violence. However, we are not in favor of real-life violence and believe it's a hell of a lot better to act out your frustrations in video games rather than against your fellow man," in their About section. Postal can now be played for free on your Nintendo Switch.
It's on the fucking Switch.
Of course it is. Yeah.
Wow.
That's my whole story about going postal.
That was really good.
Thank you.
Wow, that's incredible. That's a lot of stuff I didn't know. But I definitely remember the game about the elementary school. Like, I remember when that came out, and it was very, like, hush. Like, oh, that's bad kind of a thing.
Oh, you know what else? Did you ever see Rocko's Modern Life?
Yes.
There's an episode where they also reference this. Rocco's like trying to get on a subway, and there's a postal worker who's like grumbling about how much he hates his job.
Oh my god!
And they're like on a subway car or a bus or something, and everyone clears out. And
oh my god!
And he goes, "Oh, finally, I've got some space."
Oh, that's so funny. Rocko's Modern Life. I haven't thought about that show in a long time.
Yeah.
That was really good. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yay!
It's my shortest one so far.
It was, but it was perfect. It had everything I needed. It was really, really good. All right, so we're going to take a really sharp turn.
Oh.
into a completely different territory.
Hell yeah. Tell me.
So, I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this question. Have you heard of or seen the movie Teeth?
Yes.
Okay. Well, if you haven't seen it, it's a 2007 horror comedy movie about a girl who discovers she has razor-sharp teeth in her vagina that will bite the penis off any man who tries to have sex with her without her consent.
Great.
I've actually never seen this movie, and I know the plot of it now. I read through the whole fucking Wikipedia thing. Like, I know, I get the gist. I never watched it because I genuinely thought it was, like, fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
I didn't understand what it was, and a lot of people felt that way. They were like, oh, you're making a vagina monster. I genuinely thought it was like a vagina monster type thing, like just this like comedic stupid type of horror movie, but that's not really what it was about. All right, now I know you've seen this movie, the Disney movie Moana.
Yes.
Almost 10 years later, this movie still fucking slaps.
Has it been 10 years?
Yes. Isn't that insane?
I need to go home.
I know. And the second one just came out last year, so they waited like 9-10 years. Yeah.
Oh, I haven't seen it. Was it good?
No.
Oh, great.
All right. So, as I'm sure you can imagine, while Disney did actually do their research and they tied a lot of different legends and aspects of Polynesian culture to Moana's story, they did not follow the actual storyline like bit by bit when it comes to our favorite character, Maui.
Where does the vagina teeth come in?
What if I told you that these two movies, Teeth and Moana, actually have something in common?
Is it Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson?
Yes! No.
Oh.
Because these movies share, albeit somewhat loosely, a character. So, in the Maori version of Maui, or I'm sorry, I think it's said Maori. It's Maori. In the Maori version of Maui. That's very hard to say. Now, Maori are the indigenous Polynesian people of New Zealand. So during Maui's quest to give immortality to humankind, Maui, or as he's called in Maori, Maui Tiki Tiki Ataranga.
Hell yeah.
So good.
Huma huma numa numa apua ah.
Yes. All right, so during this quest, he faces a goddess. The goddess's name, I'm going to do my very best, is Hini Nui Tipur, or the goddess of night, and that's what I'm going to call her.
Ooh, okay.
And she is said to receive the spirits of humans when they die.
Oh.
She shepherds their souls into the first level of the Rarohenga to ready them for the next stage of their journey. She's known as the Great Woman of Night and is a giant goddess of death and the underworld. Now,
is that where the crab lives?
I think it might be kind of related. Yes, like they took a lot of these different stories and molded it like bits and pieces.
Right.
And
they took the favorite bits and threw the rest away.
Yeah, exactly. So like. I think I looked up originally because I was like, oh, is this supposed to be Te Fiti? And it's not.
Okay.
Te Fiti is something a little bit different, but it is kind of similar to the whole story with Moana, Maui, and Te Fiti.
Okay.
All right. So according to the legend, the goddess's father, Tane Mahuta, took her virginity. And this caused her to feel so embarrassed and ashamed, and she's said to have descended to the underworld to hide from him. I don't fucking blame her. So there she becomes Hine Nui Tipur.
The goddess of the night?
Yes. And she takes men's souls while her father, Tane, tries to lead them to light. All right, so going back to Maui and his quest, I promise this is all going to tie together.
Hold up. I'm sorry. Back up.
Uh-huh.
So she's assaulted by her father,
Yes.
who takes her virginity.
Uh-huh.
She retreats down into her own lair for shame, quote unquote, probably because she's fucking traumatized.
Yes.
And then she's like, hey, men, I'm going to lure your souls here, but her dad is the one that brings them into the light, but he's the bad guy.
Yeah, it gets better for our goddess. It does get better, yes. He is our bad guy. He's disgusting. All right, so, so back to Maui's quest. So in order to give humankind immortality, Maui needs to destroy the goddess of night. So when Maui asks his father what his ancestress, the goddess of night, is like, he responds by pointing to the icy mountains beneath the fiery clouds of sunset. He explains, what you see there is the goddess, flashing where the sky meets the earth. Her body is like a woman's, but the pupils of her eyes are greenstone and her hair is kelp. Her mouth is that of a barracuda, and in the place where men enter her, she has sharp teeth of obsidian and greenstone.
Hell yeah.
So, undeterred by Maui's father's grave warnings, he sets off on his quest with a gathering of bird companions. Sometimes they're referred to as like brothers, but they are birds. And they like talk and stuff. Yeah, it could be.
Dumb chicken. That's what I'm imagining. That's what I want.
So he proposes to kill the goddess by entering through her vagina and exiting through her mouth whilst she is sleeping, thus reversing the passage into life via birth.
Okay, but we understand that that's not how that works, right?
He's a fucking demigod that can turn into whatever he wants.
No, but like, things don't enter the mouth and then leave through the vagina.
If you put it in reverse, then immortality happens. That's the thought process
things
here.
Don't enter the mouth and leave the vagina.
No, my food goes straight out my vagina.
You have a cloaca, you should go to a doctor.
All right. Maui finds the great goddess sleeping, quote, with her legs apart, such that they can clearly see those flints that were set between her thighs, her teeth. And he transforms himself into a caterpillar, or some places also say a lizard, in order to crawl through her body. This next part is so good. But his bird companions are so struck by the absurdity of his actions that they laugh out loud and wake the goddess from her slumber.
Oh my gosh.
Angry at Maui's impiety, she crushes him with the obsidian teeth in her vagina. Thus, Maui becomes the first man to die and seals the fate of all humankind, who were ever after destined to die and be welcomed into the underworld by the goddess of night.
Fuck yeah. That's
incredible.
So incredible.
Right? All right, let me show you this picture really quick.
Yes, I love pictures.
This is a wood carving, a Maori wood carving, and it looks like it looks like he's just eating her out, but he's got his head stuck up her
cunnilingus.
Yep. And she's pissed. Yeah, this is a wood carving.
I would be mad too if somebody tried to turn into a caterpillar to go in my
crawl
vagina.
Up my vagina. Yeah, I'd be pretty mad.
I'd also crush them with my obsidian flints.
All right, so in this version of the myth, the Vagina Dentata appears as an inverse manifestation.
Hold up. What the fuck did you... Vagina Dentata?
That is what we are here to talk about.
Vagina Dentata.
What a wonderful thing.
Vagina Dentata. Ain't no teeth in your vagina. It means no penis
for the rest of your days.
It's your penis free. Vagina fee.
Vagina Dentata.
Yay, Disney! Yay! Lion King! Woo!
Oh, that was really good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, so...
Can I get Vagina Dentata tattooed on me?
Yeah, can we both get it together?
Each, like, one word on each cheek.
Oh my god! You mean like on cheeks of your butt, or like on one on each lip of your vagina?
Get it so it looks like a birthmark.
Oh my god! Someone gets really close. Does that say something? No, don't worry. What does that say? And then your teeth come out and eat them. All right. So in this version of the myth, the Vagina Dentata appears as an inverse manifestation of the generative life-giving powers of woman, which Maui attempts to subvert. He endeavors to overcome the forces of life and death, and therefore, by the way of rebirth, he met his end. So that's right, folks. In the interest of feminism, today we're going to talk about the many legends of the Vagina Dentata, or the toothed vagina.
This is a great fucking topic. I love this.
I'm so glad.
Oh my gosh.
I'm so glad.
You're really good at picking topics.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm really good at diving into Reddit now.
Between this and the fucking Jesus foreskin.
Oh my god, yeah, this is the partner to the Jesus foreskin.
We've covered 3 out of 4 genitals.
Oh man, gotta figure out what we're gonna do for the next one. Don't you worry, I'll find it. All right, so Vagina Dentata is a folktale tradition in which a vagina is said to contain teeth, with the associated implication that sexual intercourse might result in injury, emasculation, or castration.
Wait, so this is the thing that's happened in a bunch of different cultures then?
Yes,
I did not
bunch of cultures
realize that teeth was diving into a cultural phenomenon.
And there's so much. It's crazy. So there's a bunch of different stories, and I'm going to get into all of them. So many 19th and 20th century European interpretations linked the motive motive to Freudian concepts of castration anxiety, in which young males are said to experience an unconscious fear of castration upon seeing female genitalia. Weird, right?
Hold up, I gotta call somebody. You're like, what the fuck?
You see a vagina, then you're afraid you're gonna get castrated, apparently.
Just sucks
right back in. It inverts itself, yeah. Whilst a Freudian analysis is undoubtedly culturally and historically specific, many vagina dentata legends explicitly articulate male fears of castration in the act of normal sexual intercourse and warn of the necessity of removing the teeth from women's vaginas in order to transform her into a non-threatening and marriageable sexual partner.
Removing the teeth from the vagina. Okay.
So it's basically an act that the woman allows him to do so that he can then have sex with her. What's happening? Oh, she's checking.
When did mine get removed?
Oh, no. They're not there anymore?
No.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Do you still have yours?
Just one. And we're going to talk about that.
Little snaggletooth.
Yeah, that's a thing. All right, so a particularly telling collection of stories come from India, in which the ferocious sexual appetites of beautiful young women are tamed and made safe to men through the violent breaking of the teeth hidden inside their vaginas.
The violent breaking.
Yes. So to me, it sounds like, because this whole thing is supposed to be a precautionary tale to stop men from raping women.
Oh.
That's where a lot of this comes from.
Okay.
But so here, what my understanding is, if you break the teeth, it's the woman allowing you to do that.
Okay.
But it does say things like that every now and then, where it says the violent breaking of teeth or whatever. So it's there's still some weirdness around there that maybe doesn't entirely say it's consensual, but there are there's tons of different versions of this story.
Yeah, it probably depends on the culture too, like they mentioned. Yeah. Okay.
So I'm going to go through all of them. Okay. None of them are super in depth, but there's a bunch of different ones. So in North American folklore, the Ponca and the Atoe, I think that's how you say it, tribes tell a story in which the hero Coyote is confronted by a witch who has created teeth in the vaginas of her daughter and another woman to use as traps to seduce and murder unlucky men.
Okay.
In this version, Coyote kills 2 of the women and marries the other after removing her vagina teeth, leaving one behind for the purpose of sexual stimulation. Leaving one tooth behind.
Coyote, come on. Where's that tooth going?
He's keeping it in her vagina for funsies.
Tickles his balls.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so that's the Native American folklore.
Okay.
Indigenous Japanese mythology invokes a fanged demon that hides inside the vagina of a woman and bites off the penises of men on their wedding nights.
Oh, okay. I'm so sorry. No. I think we've talked about Clerks 2 before on this podcast. I gotta bring up Clerks 2 again. What the fuck? There's a scene where one of the guys is super religious. And one of the guys, Randall, is like, so you bang your girlfriend or what? And he's like, of course not, Randall. I can't have sex with her. Well, why not? Does she not like you? Well, no, it's because of her pussy troll.
Oh my god.
Give me a second. I gotta...
What does he mean? Pussy troll?
Sorry, I gotta get the fucking name of this troll. I'm so mad that I can't remember. Pillow Pants, the pussy troll. Yes.
Pillow Pants.
Yes, Randall's like, what do you mean, Pillow Pants? And he's like, well, it's when a little girl is born, parents put a pussy troll in her pussy to bite off the ding dong of anybody who tries to have sex with her before she's married. Yes.
But he gave it a cute name.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's really funny. See? Cultural stuff everywhere. Oh my god, that's so funny.
My dad took me to see the movie in theaters when I was 10.
Oh my fucking god, Haley. In Hinduism, the demon Asi, A-S-I, uses a toothed vagina to try and avenge their father's death. Which is really interesting. Very far out there. Historian Marianne Hopman compared Scylla, S-C-Y-L-L-A, the monstrous creature that sucks unlucky sailors to their doom, to the toothed vagina, a consuming hole that chews men up and leaves them mutilated or worse.
I love this idea.
Isn't it great?
Oh my god.
It's so badass.
Dude, right?
Get chewed up and spit out of the vagina. Get fucked. In Waldemar Bogoris's book covering comparative mythology across continents, they described a Russian story where a young woman, this is so crazy, inserts a toothed fish head into her vagina in order to discourage her repulsive husband from having sex with her.
Valid, girl.
Right?
Go off. Wow. What a smell.
Oh my God, can you imagine?
I don't want to.
There have also been instances of chastity devices used in the 1800s, often featuring a toothed gate around the vagina.
Okay.
Prohibiting penetration without getting stuck at the entrance. So I'm going to show you a picture, but basically the teeth of this hole go inward, so that they try to pull outward. It's going to fucking shank your penis.
That kind of reminds me of, and you probably are going to mention it later, the like anti-rape device that people have.
Yes, I am going to talk about that later.
I like that it goes around the vagina and the butthole.
Yeah, we need to be safe from both sides.
Would you count that as a poopy cutter? Throwback.
A little bit. Throwback. Yeah, if you listen to the mini, I would say that would probably give you an interesting shape.
A nice zigzag.
All right, so why did this myth originate in the first place? Perhaps the clearest function of the vagina dentata myth is to discourage penetrative rape, which is what I was saying earlier. So many of these stories revolve around men who are harmed after they tried to force themselves on a woman. Goddamn, I would love to have some retractable teeth in my vagina for that very reason. We would have, this would not be a problem in our society.
Fucking for real.
Oh my God.
Everybody start telling all the men that you know that all vaginas have razor sharp teeth because they're too stupid and most of them won't know the difference.
Agree. If we start a TikTok trend right now and we just all start talking about it, like, we can make shit happen. Others act more as fidelity insurance, where men who have sex with the, quote, wrong woman, for example, like one they're not married to, pay the price by losing the offending organ as a result. So now we're also getting them for cheating.
Hell yeah.
Related to that, there's also the recurring theme of men, quote, overcoming women in order to have pleasurable sex with them, removing their vaginal teeth in order to marry them and be sexually intimate with them, an invasive process that frames vaginal sex as a reward for the man's persistence or bravery.
So it's like we have both sides of the coin there.
Yes, exactly. Okay. So, because in the movie Teeth, her teeth only come out when it's against her, and against her will. Because there's apparently a scene where he like stimulates her with a vibrator and they don't come out. So yeah, I like this. I like this idea, and it's also kind of like alluding to women's orgasms not being so easy and how you got to work for it a little bit. So I kind of like the tie here. But there are also several lines of thought that attempt to reclaim the vagina dentata myth as one that restores power to women and their sexuality by offering women control over who penetrates their vagina and when. How dare us?
I know, right?
Want that. In the aforementioned movie Teeth, the main character is sexually assaulted a number of times, and like I just said, that's when her vagina dentata protect her against assault and visceral immediate punishment for the men who try to penetrate her. It bites their penis right off.
As it fucking should.
As it should. Instead of the passive position women are often placed into in depictions of sex, she's the one calling the shots, turning from the victim to aggressor. All right, so Sanette Ellers, a South African woman who encountered a high number of rape victims in her line of work as a blood transfusion technician, was inspired by a conversation with a victim of sexual assault in 1969 who remarked to Ellers that she wished she had, quote, teeth down there. Ellers went on to develop the Rape Axe, an anti-rape device made up of a sheath inserted into the vagina that inserts spring-loaded barbs into the penis of a would-be attacker, forcing medical intervention to remove it. While it's faced controversy, get fucked, the device is a clear example of the reclamation of vagina dentata myth as a protective and defensive measure for victims of rape. I don't know if you can still buy this thing.
I don't remember, because I remember seeing that. I know the image. I saw it in a Marie Claire magazine that my mom had in her bathroom.
It was in Marie Claire?
Fuck yeah, it was. It was an article that was talking about that. It was just crazy.
Wow.
But I remember hearing that it was never actually like a created product, that it was kind of like a prototype that never made it to production.
Which I hope the reason is that it just didn't work or something, that people tried to deter her, but this was also 1969.
Right.
So it wasn't a priority. Nice. So moving things to a more scientific corner. Corner is a better word. So there is an actual medical condition that is loosely related to the vagina dentata. Have you ever heard of a cystic teratoma or dermoid cyst?
I have.
Okay. So, I have a picture in here, and I like almost wish I hadn't put it in here. It's really hard to look at.
Just don't screw it. Just don't have it on the screen.
Yeah.
Just scroll back up. So
I want to show it to you though, because
okay.
I don't think you'll be grossed out by it. Dermoid cysts are usually globular, which the first time I read this, I was like, "What's globular?"
Girl.
Globular in shape and dull white in color. They contain structures associated with epidermal tissues such as hair, teeth, bones, sebaceous material resembling fat, all kinds of shit that can be found in these cysts.
Pretty yucky.
And they can contain anything from like sebaceous glands, hair, sweat glands, bone, and teeth. So up to 300 teeth have been found in one cyst.
Wow.
Isn't that insane?
If they're nicer than the ones in my mouth, can you just like
swap them out,
yeah.
You think? Yeah, maybe so. Long bones, digits, fingernails, and a skull have been found.
A skull.
Isn't that crazy? Brain tissue and its derivatives, intestinal loops, thyroid tissue, eyes, salivary glands, all this stuff.
So, really quick, sorry to interrupt.
No.
There was some fucking TV show from the 80s or the 90s that was kind of like a, not X-Files, Twilight Zone kind of deal.
Yeah.
And there, my dad left this on the TV. He would just leave shit on the TV, and then I'd see it, and I'd get really worried by it.
Oh, God.
And there was an episode of the show of an unknown name, I don't know what the name of it was, where somebody was complaining about headaches, and they had an appointment. They go into their doctor, and the doctor's like, you have a tumor in your brain, we have to get it out. And it's the 80s and the 90s. Like, the graphics are not super great, but they, like, cut into his skull, and they remove this huge chunk of brain, and in the center of his brain, there's an eyeball.
Oh, my God.
And it freaked me out so bad. And my dad told me about these to, like, try to calm me down of, like, they don't grow eyeballs, but they can grow teeth. And I was like...
That's not really better.
Yeah.
It's not that much better.
I hate that you just said that it can grow an eyeball, though. That's immediately what made me... Like, that scene...
Oh, my God.
Literally, I can still picture it in my brain.
Oh, it gets... This next part gets worse.
Great.
Even rudimentary fetuses have been found. Such as pelvis with hairy pubes and a vulva and a clitoris.
Wait. Huh? How? A fetus with pubes?
Yeah, I don't know. These aren't like... from my understanding is they're not like humans trying to form. It's like bits and pieces of them.
Yeah, it's just kind of your body going cray-cray.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I got this from a scientific article. Who knows? But
let's just shove a bone here and see what happens.
Yeah. So anyways, do you want to see this picture?
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, so that's one that has some teeth in it.
Oh, that's not bad.
It's not bad. It's just something about a wet specimen with teeth where they shouldn't be really kind of grosses me out.
We've talked about it. I really don't like wet specimens.
No, and it's the hair. I think that's what bothers me the most. There's hair in there. All right. So, is this condition actually related or like some kind of proof of a vagina dentata that exists? No. But you can see how the two might have been correlated a lot in various research. And these have obviously been around for a long time. If you can imagine, like, I don't know, the 1500s or something, if someone pulls a cyst out of someone that has teeth in it, they could be like, her vagina has teeth. Like, she's turning into a monster kind of a thing. But yeah, so you can see how they've been correlated a lot in various research done on the subject. Because there have been cases where a woman might actually have teeth in her vagina, which there are ovarian cysts that have like teeth in them, but it's like obviously not the way it's described in folklore. You don't have retractable teeth in your vagina.
If only.
But yeah, that is the many stories and legends of the vagina dentata.
That was so fun. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm glad you liked it.
I loved that. Much like the Jesus Foreskin episode, we also worked in a song. Vagina dentata.
What a wonderful place.
I think place, yeah.
A place?
Yeah.
Yeah. You can travel to it.
Vagina's a place in the body.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you can travel to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't even remember why I got it. I think it was some kind of Reddit thing. Oh, it was originally someone posted in Reddit. They were saying, I was looking at like different folklore, and someone was like, oh, in our folklore, Coyote, the legend of Coyote talks about like the whole legend of like killing two women and blah, blah, blah. And then I just started looking into it, and I was like, Maui's involved in this? Are you fucking kidding me? Let's go.
That is really cool. Yeah. I love unexpected crossovers like that.
Yeah, exactly. Lots of fun. So yeah, that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you.
And thank you for being here
on this week's episode.
This week's episode of
Make it weird. What was that?
My stomach.
That's your stomach?
I'm hungry.
Oh my god, we gotta get you some food, girl.
Keep on making it weird. Goodbye.
If you liked our episode, please leave us a review on Spotify or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.
And don't forget to follow us on social media. We're on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and Threads at Make It Weird Pod.
Got something weird you want to share with the world? Send it over to us at makeitweirdpod@gmail.com.
Thanks for listening to Make It Weird. Bye!